not just whenever you feel like it.
We might wait here a bit.
Because if it's tomorrow, that might be too
I'm
late.
sorry. I told it was my purview to take my time. And indeed I did,
didn't
sir.
feel like it. I'll take us live when I'm good and ready.
It says right here in that command you just gave me.
I'm going to be eting at a Litchfield, Illinois diner.
That
has been in
metaphor?
existence
I haven't
for
heard
90
the kids
years.
say that one. I'm gonna be eating at a Litchfield diner.
I'm going to
if you know what I mean.
Litchfield, if you know what I mean.
Please tell me we were live for that part. Did we
were
make
live.
it? Yes. Congratulations,
Hey!
lives. Yay.
Oops, I've said too much. Yeah, no, I'm looking. It's funny how when you're away from things for a long time, you miss them. You ever had that happen?
Yeah. To be honest, I'm counting down the days until, like, as soon as this duplex sells, Bonnie and I want to go on a proper vacation. I have not seen Norway since I left in 8th grade, and it's all I want to do is go back and see Norway.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
You're going to make that happen?
Yeah, if I don't know if you heard, the Austin market's pretty saturated. If anybody wants to buy a duplex, it's a good one.
I say put the yes in Norway.
Norway, yes way. There we go. That was it.
Yes, sir, way.
Yes, Norway, yes way. Is there? Hey, Ryan, do you know enough about lighting to know, like, this dark triangle, this dark triad here?
Oh, that's cancer.
Yeah, no. Is there?
You want a second opinion?
Yeah.
'Cause I think it's cancer too.
Here, in fact, actually, give me that light.
Yeah.
Give me that light. Give me that light. I'm going to light something with it.
Yes. There you go. Does that do anything? I mean,
Yeah,
really.
looks good.
If you hold it right there
Right
through the whole
spot,
show.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Spooky Cordkillers stories.
Yeah. We'll just see whether or not that does anything. Shall we, Tom?
I think we shall.
Yeah, look at that. That's good. See, that's with.
I like it.
That's without. That's with. All right.
Loving it. Welcome to Cordkillers. You know, we like to say the world of entertainment is turned upside down, but frankly, I think it's revolving. It's out of control. It's bouncing all over the place, and we are just trying to find out how to watch what we want, where we want, whenever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Brian, where's the good stuff?
Man, I'll tell you what. I couldn't tell just then if you said evolving or revolving, and I realized both of them are great because it's an evolution.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Otherwise, it's a revolution, and it was definitely that. But you know, there are two meanings to revolution. It could be overthrowing a government, or it could be just going in circles. Could be that too. 3 different. Yeah. Wow. 0 to Galaxy Brain in 30 seconds. Pay the man.
Our bestest yet.
Yeah.
Thank you. Whoever made that happen, which was Brian. Shall we start with the supply run?
Indeed we shall.
Supply run, supply run, supply run.
So you might not think this is the biggest piece of news to supply you with television, but YouTube TV, which if you're not a subscriber, is not YouTube. It's a cable-like service. It gives you ABC, CBS, ESPN, Bravo, all of those. Started a limited rollout of fully customizable multi-view. In other words, they had multi-view before, but they picked what was in it. You could pick the news multi-view or the sports multi-view. This lets you build from all the channels, sports, news, movies, whatever you want. You can put 4 channels in your multi-view. And honestly, Brian, this is the kind of thing I saw touted on stage by AT&T at the Microsoft keynote at Comdex in 2000. So better late than never, YouTube TV and technology. But now that we really are in the stage of customizable app-delivered TV, let's dream big. what would you like to see, Brian, in your ultimate television app or whatever feature set? Like, how do you want to get your television now?
Tom, I immediately tried. So this will surprise you not at all, that the first thing I thought of is, okay, there already exists curated multi-views, but then what is the problem with them? Well, the problem with them is, let's say the 4 sports game that they pick, those are the 4 that are picked. Oh, I just realized I just motion controlled everything.
And here they are.
Wouldn't that be great? I just sweep this open. So I pictured, first of all, in terms of somebody picks 4 games and they're picking, maybe the 4th one is wrong, and it's like you don't want that particular game, or maybe you want something off color. And then my brain ran subroutine. Okay, what if it was, what would an off color thing? And I pictured 3 things on theme, and the 4th one being the Weather Channel. At which point, Tom, my memory part of my brain kicked in and said, but you've already lived that. You've already seen that. And I was like, where did I see it? And my brain said, Brian, that was the documentary Back to the Future 2, in which Marty McFly Jr. comes in, rattles off to a robot a bunch of random TV stations, and as the last thought says, and the Weather Channel. And by God, that's what showed up. And I hated that movie, Tom. I hated it because its predictions were too fantastical. Jaws 32, that can't happen. Meanwhile, last year they released Jaws 50. Now, technically, it was the 50th anniversary of Jaws, but they were right on that one.
Yeah.
The Cubs won
Also,
the World
the Cubs
Series.
won the World Series.
That's right. That happened. The 80s Cafe Retro, that happened. Literally, they just keep getting them all right, including this one.
Yeah, man. So I totally see why your brain went there. But if you were to write the next Back to the Future for Back to the Future 20, oh my gosh, I almost said 2040. Like what would you predict? What do you even want multi-view? I guess
no.
that's the first question.
100%, yes.
I know a lot of people do, but I'm just curious for you, is that a thing that you need to have?
So I'm going to put a little bit of my corporate conspiracy hat on, and some things I noticed. Number one, TVs are astonishingly cheap. 72 inches for like $600, what have you. And all of these TV manufacturers need reasons to go to higher resolutions. What are you going to do with 8K? No content is in 8K. However, 4 4K displays would fit on there. 9 1080p displays would fit on there. So if we get all the way to Total Recall, and what we think of as a television is instead a wall, a video wall, then all of a sudden it will feel weird to have one gigantic program, and it will feel lonely to just have a small program. We know that YouTube is hiring engineers to think out of the box. I had speculated on the idea as we create our digital avatars for Sora-like features in YouTube Shorts, I could imagine watching content, and off to the side are avatars of 2 beloved people who I like watching, giving their reaction takes based on their real reaction takes. Likewise, this right now, what they're doing with YouTube TV is going to open up to all of YouTube. Specifically YouTube Live. If I'm guessing that YouTube Live becomes live reacts to beloved characters synchronized so that all of you are reacting to the same time, filling out things socially. Also, if you are, for example, a speculator, you might have all the games on and financial markets, or maybe is it Binance? One of the crypto firms is open at the same time. It has a channel in this future, I'm imagining. I cannot imagine. Here's a pro tip about humans. In general, they don't tend to say, less, please. And so, but things do fracture and become more and more specifically targeted. That was a lot. I just gave you a lot to work with.
Humans don't say less, please. They say stop. They say it's too much. We're hearing that right now with there's too many streaming services. I don't want to deal with that. So it's not that they say less. It's that they say, I don't want to have to make a decision. I don't want to have to think about this. Make it so I don't have to think about it. I would like more, but I want it easy. And that's why I go back to, you actually didn't answer my question. Do you want this? Like you, Brian Brushwood, do you want multi-view? And if so, how are you going to use it?
You know what? Okay, let me pitch some galaxy brain at you. Here's a thing that I could totally believe will happen. Do you remember everybody yearns for the days of MySpace when it was simple? MySpace, a website, but simpler. And you picked your top 5. Imagine on your video wall, you pick, when you subscribe to, let's say, live personalities, there's, I don't know, you do maybe 20 or 30 of them. And then there are many things on at any given time. What does Brian always harp on? I don't want to have to decide. I don't want decision fatigue. I've already decided on whose tastes I trust. I can imagine these characters watch whatever they want. And then in that, a consensus forms. So let's say you follow 20 YouTubers at a time. And then in that crowd of 20 or 40 of them, let's say however many would fit around a program, let's say 7 or 8 of them are all deciding to watch this live thing at the same time. Then without you choosing, you literally have kind of a virtual version of, all my friends are watching it, so I guess I better get caught up on it. And then that's what just comes on.
I like that. Yeah. So in other words, you don't have to choose what to watch, but you get recommendations and you get that limited set. You might drill in, right? You may say, ooh, those 5 are interesting, but I really want to watch that. And then you make it full screen. And then now your signal goes to me, where I'm like combining Brian Brushwood and Scott Johnson and David Kim and Carrie Cakes and Cecilia Bloomdahl. And then all of those come together and they're like, here's your top 5, Tom, with whatever other ones. And then I decide, ooh, number 3 on there looks really good. I drill in and then that one goes out. And then kind of love that.
And then imagine this. Imagine out of all the takes, most of them say the thing that you like, but one of them says one that pisses you off. Brian takes it in the wrong direction or misinterprets something. Luckily, Tom, what's that in your lap? A response device. You record a short that is public and goes out there. That short definitely shows up in my feed that I can react or make content out of or whatever at a later date. But more importantly, your short somewhere out there is a cross-section of people. Like Brian was watching live. Tom wasn't watching live, but somebody who follows both Brian and Tom later on the next day is able to see Tom's short of him responding to Brian being wrong again, which I'm very good at.
The criticism of this idea would be that, isn't that what we have now? Like the algorithm is saying, we know what you seem to like, and we know what people who are similar to you like, and they have been watching this thing that you haven't, so that's why we put it in your feed. And then you will probably like to watch it too. But I think what you described is a control that you don't have over the algorithm to say, no. I don't want the algorithm to decide what it thinks I like for this feature. I want to decide who my tastemakers are. I don't know where the, like, Brian is wrong falls into that. Honestly, you mean wrong about like what you're watching or something, or? Oh,
I don't know. I mean, there's some people who, this is usually the part where somebody says, I would never. And then, as you know, I am a believer that words are cheap.
You lost me a little on the responding with a short thing, simply because I'm like, oh, is that just now, like what we have now, where I'm watching watching content and I respond? Or
what I am trying to speculate on is, so technically I've described nothing that can't be made by oneself, just like technically everything that ChatGPT did, you could do the day before they released ChatGPT. All you had to do was go into the ecosystem as an engineer, call the right APIs, and cast the spell, be like a chatbot. But I believe that natural form and function will dictate things. I do think the watching people watch thing can be huge. And the counterpunch to that is the YouTube Shorts thing, because YouTube Shorts, so far, a thing that they've not been able to do with YouTube Shorts is get people watching Shorts to also watch long form stuff. the idea of recording a short, you could record a short while watching a long form. Now you're double dipping on engagement. It seems like there's something there, but maybe I went too far in the weeds for your taste on that one.
Well, not for my taste. I was trying to relate it to the idea that I really like of like, oh, I get a list of 5 things based on a personally curated taste set. And I think you were like just a couple of steps down the board game from that. And then when you're watching that, you can also react to that.
By the way,
we have focused. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, just a fun fact. G James B in the chat points out 36 720p displays. Tom, that do anything for you?
No, it's too small, G James B. That's crazy talk. Stop it. Nobody wants to watch 36 720p TVs.
How about
at the same time.
180 4:3 standard definition streams, Tom?
Now you've brought me back in. I want to see all of everything that was on cable television in 1982.
Well, and this is
at original broadcast resolution happening at the same time.
Well, I can think
honestly, that is a thing I would like from television. So what I was going to say is like we got focused on the YouTube feature of multi-view, and that's what we've been talking about. But that's not the ultimate TV app feature set. That's just one feature that is already in existence today. And we kind of riffed on that. I think another feature I would like is to be able to, and this is a feature probably only I care about, I would like to be able to dip into television history. We have almost everything that has ever been broadcast available somehow. Maybe it's on YouTube, maybe it's on demand, maybe you have to buy it. I don't care about all that. Figure that part out. Tell me what the subscription cost is, and they'll decide if I want to pay it. But I want the feature that says, I want to watch December 12th, 1984. And then, boom, I get the grid, and it knows enough to know like, oh, you're Tom, you're in Los Angeles, so I'm going to show you United States Pacific time zone version of this, right? And then it says, here's what was on television. And it would be great if it was like a grid, right? Just like a TV guide looking grid, and maybe a little bit of preview video in there, so I could sort of tell. And then I just drill in. It's like, oh, it's 3:00 in the afternoon. Here's what was on. And then I pick something and watch it as if it was from that time. Will I do it a lot? I don't know. Probably not. But I like the idea of being able to do that.
I'll tell you what. So, first of all, there's no reason what you're describing can't be 100% real and complete. As you and I both know, there are media tracking services that just they have 6-hour long plays or slow recording VHS tapes of everything. The quality was garbage. I bought one because there was a surprise news appearance that had me on, and I got the footage. I was like, I can't use this. This is garbage. It won't belong on my reel. And I was like, what is this good for? Spoiler alert, 25 years later, it's like it's all perfect quality because all of it can be enhanced all the way to 4K now with generative models and all that stuff. So we've got all the footage. And what you're describing is the experience of time travel, going back to the TV guide. All the channels are there. Everything can be filled in, complete with commercials and all that stuff. And you correctly bumped up against what I think of as the VR goggles experience, an extremely high fidelity experience where because everything is possible, you kind of lose interest and you're like, sounds like work. And then you pull away. You do it for a little bit and it's great. A thing you will never tire of, just like we didn't tire, just like I didn't understand Twitch.tv until I realized, oh, we're virtualizing your older brothers playing the game on the couch and we're just all gathered around. What you're describing, Tom, is a time traveling personality who could take you on a tour. Like you'll tune in to like I would tune in to watch Tom time travel watch TV. And I would just have you out in the corner. I would let you drive, and I would watch
the second generation, right? Yeah.
Which is bonkers. How crazy does that sound? The idea.
It sounds great. Yeah. And I think you have. This is, I think, a thing that gets lost a lot because technology has become so pervasive that people have decided like, okay, it should work. this way. And some of the brilliance of the 90s and 2000s internet is everybody was like, I think we can do this. Let's try it and see what it's good for. And suddenly people were trying all kinds of stuff. 90% of which was garbage, by the way. So if you go back, you can easily go like, Tom, they tried this and look, it's stupid. I'm like, yes, but it's the 10% that came out of that. That is everything that you enjoy today. And you have to have the 90% of garbage to get the 10% of gold. So we need to think more like that. And I think the fact that streaming video is large, it's funny. YouTube has captured that in a bottle of like, yes, 90% garbage, 10% gold. That's our entire business model. Whereas every other is doing the old curation model. And that's fine. I like the fact that I know HBO Max is going to have almost entirely great stuff, but now start playing with features, start playing with things that will let me experience it in a different way and give me the freedom to do ideas like you said, Brian, and riff off of it. And come up with new stuff within your platform. I feel like Disney was this close to doing that when they had the partnership with Sora, which is now gone because there is no Sora, right? I like thinking of these kinds of features that we could never have done before. Another one is when I'm watching a single video, right? I'm just leaning back, watching a video. I always have questions. And we've got Amazon X-Ray. Apple TV has a kind of a version of this, but there is no reason now with current technology that I shouldn't be able to just go, what's that? And it knows where I'm pointing. It circles it to confirm it. I'm like, yeah, that. And then it tells me what it is, right? Is that a boom mic? Yes, Brian, it is a boom mic. Can you capture that and text it to Tom and Amos? Thank you. Yes. Like that. You should just be able to do that with given current technology. You could.
Tom, imagine this. In the not too distant future, the full experience.
Next Sunday, AD.
That's right. The full experience becomes Brian and Tom not just watching a show and reporting on it, but we time travel to there. We watch, we flip through the channels around the show. We see what was on the other channel. We watch an ad or two. We sit through the ad breaks maybe. And then, you and I can talk during the ads in between these. And, that would be amazing.
Yeah. It's the biggest problem in anybody doing any of this kind of thing is copyright. Because there's separate copyright on the commercials than on the main show. There's separate copyright on the music in the commercial versus the main show, which is
my goodness.
One of the problems with current copyright law being so long is that the idea of copyright is it protects it long enough so that you're incentivized to make new stuff. With copyright being as long as it actually is dissuading new creation from bigger companies. Thank goodness humans want to create stuff and we're not in danger of losing that. But imagine how many more ideas we'd have if we were free to spend like something that was 30 years. What if copyright was 30 years old and you could go back into the 90s or 40 years and go back into the 80s and just be free to play with whatever's back there? So you could come up with so many different things. And again, yes, 90% of them are going to be garbage, but that's how you find the 10% that are gold.
So whenever I bump up against this impulse, and I feel it as well, it's like, boy, I would really love them to roll back the draconian copyright system. But then in general, what was it, Jefferson, that says it is the natural propensity for, liberty to yield in these kind of situations. In other words, legislation ain't going to roll back. But then I think of what Andrew Main told me 15 years ago. Technology outpaces legislation. And if we apply that lens to this problem, with Gen AI and enough data sets of other stuff that we're on, maybe you switch over to Bonanza and it's one of the copyrighted ones and they don't have it. There can be a brand new Bonanza-like experience that is technically like it can fill in the gaps. Now, would you want to stay there? No, you would want to be there just long enough for the channel flipping experience and then keep on going. But that pressure all of a sudden makes it less attractive. It's like, okay, that's fine. Everybody's watching garbage Bobo knockoff Bonanza. It seems like you could press this one button, get an automatic license because of some new framework that came out in one of the lawsuits.
I don't know,
happening.
man. I don't know if you're selling me on that one. Like, I totally agree that technology outstrips legislation and there's probably a way to do this. I also agree that there's a difference between me saying copyright law should be shorter because I figure if I keep saying it, I'm not going to make it worse. But in practicality, it's not going to change tomorrow. So what do we do in the meantime? But it's a little bit like bringing me Beyond Meat and saying like, hey, man, I know you ordered steak. But it's still pretty good, right?
Yes, from the consumer experience, I empathize with your disappointment. But what I'm thinking of is at a macro level, and a Bobo alternative to that Beyond Meat provides a pressure to alter the calculus to get more people to play ball. Right now, there's no incentive for Bonanza to what? Pennies on the dollar? This is gold. This is dollars on the dollar. Right. But then if there's a Bobo alternative with your Beyond Meat, enough people will, what do they call it? Satisfies, mixture of satisfy, like, and suffice. Suffice? I forget what the word is. Anyway, it means it's like good enough.
It will suffice. Yeah. I don't know what the word you're thinking of is either, but I get the sentiment, which is enough people will go, yeah, it's fine. I'll have the Beyond Meat. And then suddenly the steak purveyors are like, whoa, hold on. Let's outlaw you calling it meat. Wait, that didn't work? Okay, maybe let's make steak cheaper so that people buy more steak.
Yeah. Now we're just accurately conveying the marketplace for meat alternatives.
for steak and Beyond Meat. Yeah. No, I love this. And I really want to challenge people listening to come up with the features that they want that aren't there. Like, look beyond the ones that like, I would like Peacock to make it easier to find this. Like that's all good. But like, think beyond that. Like, what's a thing that you didn't even think they would ever do that you want your television to be able to do, or that you never thought was even possible that you would want your television to do? And to go back to my Comdex thing, I remember at the Microsoft keynote, AT&T got up there and showed IP television and the fact that you could just, have all of these things showing at once and preview videos and a live sports scores showing up on your screen, customized to you. And we have some of that, but still don't have all of it that they were capable of doing at a higher cost in 1999. And now should be table stakes. And we just need to make it happen by asking for it, demanding it, creating it, or boboing it, right?
Yeah, but here's who cares what you and I think, Tom, except for everybody when in 20 years we hang out with them on their 16K television walls. But I want to hear what other people think of, and I want them to write us at cordkillers@gmail.com.
Yeah. Or you could become a patron.
Well,
send a message through Patreon.
Yeah, look, we like it when people send emails, but you know what we always listen to? When our bosses send us emails. If you feel like we've fallen short in our brainstorming galaxy brain duties, become our boss. Give us money. You know what? I mentioned Thomas Jefferson before. That was a ruse to get you to think of a $2 bill, because $2 an episode is all we ask. Head on over to patreon.com/cordkillers. You'll get early access.
Send us your Jeffersons, everyone.
One Jefferson, man. We love the Jeffersons. And if we get enough Jeffersons, we'll watch the Jeffersons.
Yeah, we probably will.
Or patreon.com/cordkillers.
Patreon.com/cordkillers. And now the search party. Amazon's Prime Video released the official full trailer for its upcoming live-action series Spider Noir, premiering on May 25th, 2026 on MGM+, and all episodes becoming available on Prime Video on May 27th. So if you want to pay extra for MGM+, you get them a couple days earlier. Viewers can choose to watch in black and white or true hue, which is color, or both. You can compare back and forth if you want to. What do you think of Spider Noir?
So we mentioned the teaser trailer when it came out before, and I think at the time I was skeptical, and I said, I believe in Lord and Miller through gritted teeth. Since then, Project Hail Mary's come out, and I'm going to bet that they've been granted more, not less, creative control over this beast. And boy, is my trust at an all-time high with those guys. I watched this trailer and it made me open up to it in a way that the previous teaser did not, because it was very, I don't know, Nick Cage. But now this one I thought was very good. As luck would have it, I was jotting down some notes when it finished, and I wasn't paying attention long enough for YouTube to just play the next thing that it suggested, which was the exact same trailer in the True Hue. So I watched the same trailer twice, and it's more than just in color. It's colorized color, which I expected that the True Hue color would be low effort. Like, well, that's just the show. It's not, man. They both have distinct, out of time, nostalgic vibes. I think that if they're going to play this right, they're going to allow the discussion point, the controversy, the headlines in the run up to the release of it should have a bunch of people arguing for whether you should watch it in black and white, the quote unquote original, or True Hue. Then there's the interviews with Lord and Miller asking which one is the real way. And then both of them, maybe they have a hot take or whatever. Now we got a meta discussion. And in fact, Tom, I feel like you and I should watch different experiences and report.
Ooh. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I love that too. Just because I can't help myself from doing this sort of thing, Brian, because I also know someone in the audience is thinking it right now, and I want to make sure everybody knows Lord and Miller are producing, but they're not involved in the showrunner the way they were. Project Hail Mary, they directed it, right?
Yeah.
So this has got their thumbprints on it. But the showrunners are Steve Lightfoot and Oren Uziel. But Oren Uziel is a big film noir fan. He's the one apparently that said, let's not use Peter Parker. Let's use Ben Reilly, the Spider instead, because that fits that Humphrey Bogart meets Bugs Bunny style of thing. So I'm not disagreeing with you that, hey, it's Lord and Miller verse, so it'll probably fit into that. But yeah. I know somebody's like, well, but it's not them directly doing it. So there's a risk that.
We don't have many comps for things that we know that in general, there is a drift where people can put their producer name on a thing that they care less and less about, like, I don't know, Jerry Bruckheimer used to being one thing, then it kind of meant something else.
Yeah, sure.
But the closest comp we have is After Party was, I think it was just Miller. I think, or maybe it was just Lord. It was just one or the other. I thought that was great. So I don't know. I'm still optimistic. They bought a lot of goodwill with Project Hail Mary.
New trailer out for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, season 4, which now has a premiere date on Paramount Plus of July 23rd. A lot of people noting in the stories I read that this is got a more serious tone, as Ars Technica said, or maybe they were reacting to people saying the seasons have gotten a little too wacky. And this trailer is pointing towards a more original series Star Trek kind of vein. But there's some wacky episodes still planned for this season. And honestly, I love the most of this most recent round of live action Star Treks. Basically, Lower Decks for animation and this one for live action are my favorite Star Treks in this new era of Star Treks that have been on Paramount Plus. What did you think of the trailer?
As somebody who's only dipped a toe here and again in the Strange New Worlds, I was really struck by the fact that there are entire chunks of it where it's just crazy CGI overkill, exactly like you'd see on Discovery or whatever. But whereas those felt brittle, plasticky, and cheap, all of this felt heavy, swinging. Like, it reminded me of the vibes of Netflix's first season of Daredevil, where it's like you feel the Kingpin's fist slow motion and connecting. It reminded me of the slow motion sub battles of the Wrath of Khan. It looked great. It seems like they got gravity. Even when there was you could tell that the context of the story is probably going to be a cheeky episode. Like, there was a very Western themed world that we saw for a second. But meanwhile, epic imagery nonetheless. It just felt big. I really dug it.
Star Trek is in a weird place right now because there's a regime change happening since they merged with Skydance. And it does look like The current regime is on its way out. Star Trek Strange New Worlds will finish with season 5, a half season. So we're getting this season 4 that starts in July. Then we'll get a season 5 after that. That has already been produced. So it's all in the can. The plan had been to set them up to revisit the original series. It was going to be Star Trek Year 1. We were going to see Kirk and Bones, and in fact, we're getting Bones in Strange New Worlds this season. They've been setting the table with these resurrection of all these original series characters in Strange New Worlds, and then we were going to see them all come together on the Enterprise for what would have been called Year 1, which I think was meant to be a prequel to the original series, showing the Enterprise the first time it was under command of Captain Kirk before we got to see the adventures. Anyway, that's down the Star Trek rabbit hole.
To squeeze a lot of adventures into that unknown gap.
But the short version should be, I don't think we're getting that now. We're getting Strange New Worlds season 5. And then all bets are off, and we have new people and a pending merger with Warner Brothers that are going to change the game plan for Star Trek altogether. So I have no idea where we're going after this.
Yeah.
Except into the unknown. We've been loosely tracking the Scooby-Doo series coming to Netflix. Latest news is that there is a title. It'll be called Scooby-Doo Origins.
Right. Finally. The question that we've been asking since we were kids. How did Spider-Man get his powers? We're finally applying that to Scooby-Doo.
Did we ever have a Scooby-Doo origin story, Lo? I don't think we ever did.
I don't know. If we did, I missed it. I think maybe.
And I kind of like it. Look, it's probably not going to be done as well as I want it to be, but I kind of like the idea of how did those folks come together? You can tell me a really compelling version of that. That'd be kind of interesting to see.
Now you've set my
Netflix
mind
is
to
gonna
it,
try.
and it's is it Buffy-like, where it's there's a crazy professor who's the supernatural isn't real.
Yeah. Well, apparently, let's see. Let me get the log line here. During their final summer at camp, old friends Shaggy and Daphne get embroiled in a haunting mystery surrounding a lonely, lost Great Dane puppy that may have been witness to a supernatural murder.
That's why
Together
he's so
with
scared.
pragmatic townie Velma and the strange but handsome new kid Freddy, they set out to solve the case.
Yeah. All right. Maybe I'm in.
Yeah? Are you in now?
Begrudgingly
Okay.
in.
Begrudgingly in. We are so timely with our Magnum PI Murder, She Wrote crossover event on the Full Experience, because Murder, She Wrote the movie with Jamie Lee Curtis it's been delayed. Delayed to 2028.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Universal Pictures has pushed the film's release date from December 22nd, 2027, which would have been up against a lot of competition, to February 4th, 2028. But we're getting a Murder, She Wrote movie.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it, and I'm excited. There's everyone attached.
Lord and Miller
Sounds
are
great.
producing, Brian.
That's what I
Lord and
just
Miller
said.
are producing.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm excited.
Yeah. It's directed by Jason Moore, who did Pitch Perfect. And if you know Dumb Money, Lauren Schuker and Rebecca Angelo are from there and are writing it. Sportscaster Joe Buck, host of Monday Night Football, is going to host a version of Jeopardy for ESPN called ESPN Jeopardy that will stream on Hulu and therefore on Disney Plus.
I mean, I don't know the personality. Does he seem like a fit, or do you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Or
Yes.
is this a Cordkillers at Gmail thing?
No. So Joe Buck is the son of legendary sportscaster Jack Buck. For the longest time, he was Fox football announcer, as well as their playoff baseball announcer and game of the week baseball announcer. He left to become the Monday Night Football announcer. So he is an iconic sports broadcaster, bar none. I think what struck me about this is not Joe Buck will do a great job hosting Jeopardy. Why does he want to do that? Does he just love Jeopardy? Maybe that's it. I don't know. Cordkillers@gmail.com. But also, why relegate it to streaming? This is Jeopardy for ESPN, not on ESPN. It's on Hulu and Disney Plus.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, okay, so ESPN has a certain. Okay, so
I mean, I'm
ESPN
guessing it'll
Sports-
also be on ESPN. It can't not, but that's not the way they're pitching it.
Yeah. Well, I'd be curious. There's got to be a slot in there that it would be a fit for.
Yeah, but it's not going to be on ESPN broadcast.
but-
not that matters.
But it's
as
got to
much
be
as
on
it
like
used to, but-
Jeopardy's on Disney, right?
That I don't know. Is
okay.
it?
Yeah, wherever. In fact, let me here. I'll check on that.
I know Jeopardy is a CBS thing with Sony. We've talked about that before.
Service.
So I don't know about that particular connection. I just found it odd
It's on
that they got
Peacock.
one of their premier sportscasters to do Jeopardy for only streaming, not specifically for ESPN, even though it's called Jeopardy for ESPN.
Well, okay. Boy, there's so many different lenses to look at this through. There's the Jeopardy-centric lens, there's the streaming service-centric lens, and then there's the diversifying his portfolio, personality emerging. What's his name, Joe Buck?
I mean, but it's a step down to
Well,
host an off-brand version of a game show.
For you, it is a step down. For me, it is a step up.
I mean, it would be a step up for me, but
well,
it's a step down for him.
No, but I mean, to your consumer's eyes, because you know him as the Mount Olympus of sports, but that currency holds no water in Brian Land. So he did not exist until this story, and now I'm meeting him for the first time.
Yeah, but you're not going to watch this. This is for people who are
watch-
sports fans.
Oh wait, good point. Never mind. Yep, nope. It is a head scratcher.
Yeah. We got a trailer for Coyote versus Acme. This is the movie that was once put on the shelf by Warner Brothers Discovery back in 2023 for tax purposes. It is now coming to theaters thanks to an independent outfit that is bringing it August 28th.
So this was one of the rare peeks into Hollywood math that by implication we can kind of know what size write-off they were able to take from it. If we assume that they were comfortable with the write-off by burying the whole thing, and then this other company bought it, I think it was around 50 million, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Which is
Something like that.
So
yeah.
they gave back that money to the government basically in order to make this released. Now that I see, I think they made a really good bet, Tom. I think that this has strong, possibly as good as Roger Rabbit vibes.
It very much has a Roger Rabbit feel. I thought the same thing. We also got a teaser trailer for Clayface coming October 23rd. This is the third DC Universe film to hit theaters since James Gunn and Peter Safran took over DC Studios and reset everything. Looks fine. I don't know about you.
Well, DC expanding into
Clayface.
horror vibes, I think is interesting.
Yeah, right.
It's unfortunate because the bulk of my experience with Clayface is anchored in the Harley Quinn animated series, in which he is portrayed
right.
as an insufferable actor.
Actor!
And so as a result, seeing him as a pretty boy, looks to be an underwear model or something, and actual scary vibes. I'll bet they pull it off. I don't know. They did wonders with the Penguin on HBO. I'd love to see what they do with this.
Yeah, this has got very much like we're aiming to do the same thing we did with Joker before we took over, but for horror with Clayface.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they hit it. Miami Vice has got a reboot with Michael B. Jordan playing the titular role along with Austin Butler. Not titular. He's not Miami. His name isn't Miami Vice.
I'm gonna get this criminal, or my name isn't Miami Vice.
He's playing one of the
Miami,
lead
get over
roles. He's
here.
playing Tubbs, okay? Michael B. Jordan, Austin Butler as Crockett. And the official title of this reboot will be Miami Vice 85. Unlike the original one, which happened in 1985, this one will be set in 1985.
I just wonder what happened in Miami Vice's 2 through 84.
We got a trailer for Star City, Apple TV's spinoff from the For All Mankind series. This basically tells the same story as For All Mankind, but from the Soviet Union side of things, starting May 29th after the finale of For All Mankind streams. And if you don't know For All Mankind, it's an alternate history. What happens if the Soviet Union lands on the moon first? And the premise is it accelerates the space race so that we get some technologies earlier, but it also keeps the Soviet Union from falling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and we land on Mars.
So this is a really intriguing pitch. Echoes of Caprica, I guess, in terms of spin-off capability, and which I guess that's another Ronald D. Moore thing. It vibes a little bit with, I don't know if you ever read the parallel novel to Ender's Game, Ender's Shadow. It is a totally different book that kind of completes the whole story, but more importantly, the Shadow series after Ender's Game essentially is a totally different type of story. It's essentially Risk for kids super geniuses in a global game of brinksmanship. This feels like that. And what occurs to me, Tom, is, there's a possibility I just watch all of For All Mankind from the beginning, just like there's a possibility that any minute now I'm going to bust out and watch all of Strange New Worlds. There's a strong possibility that I will feel comfortable entering at Star City because it looks like a self-contained, it's in universe. And it from the trailer, it's got strong Chernobyl vibes where it's like, I kind of like the idea of rooting for the Soviet Union to not, have their status taken away from them by filthy Americans.
Yeah. It's funny because as someone who is up to date on For All Mankind and has watched it from the beginning, I'm less excited for Star City.
Oh, really?
Because I'm like, it's the same story. Like, it's kind of interesting because I'm getting the other side, and I'll watch the pilot just to see if it grabs me. But I'm like, do I want to start all over again? Just because it's from the Soviet side? I bet I know what they're going to say, and the way they'll hook me is it's Ronald D. Moore, and I'll be surprised by what they're going to say, and then I'll be off to the races. But yeah, I think it's probably a smart play because it'll make me watch it because I watched the other, and it'll make you watch it because you haven't watched the other. And
I'm already looking forward to my favorite part of this program, in which I talk about a thing I'm excited about, and you get to say, oh, you don't even know. That's a reference to, and you can tell me all about it, and then we'll be on swing
Well, that was
sets.
the other thing. I immediately was like, so are they just going to use footage from the original for when they reference things happening in the United States? Oh, right. They were able to create fictional versions of Al Gore, Bill Clinton, Mikhail Gorbachev. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be able to do all that stuff. No problem. HBO has unveiled a trailer and a premiere date for House of the Dragon Season 3. It is coming June 21st. I fell off in Season 2. Watched it partway through and never finished it. Too many
dragons.
I don't know. Too many houses, if you ask me. Enola Holmes 3 sets a July 1st release date on Netflix. I did like Enola Holmes, so I'm looking forward to that. Oprah Winfrey is bringing her podcast, as well as Oprah's book club and Oprah's Favorite Thing franchises and old episodes of the Oprah Winfrey Show. You get a podcast and you get old franchises. And yeah, that's the obvious joke. Anyway, it's coming to Amazon under an exclusive multi-year deal.
Yeah, brilliant. She's immortal.
It's another podcast deal coming to a streaming service. That's the significance here. Netflix has done it. Spotify has done it. Now Amazon's doing it, and they're doing it big by doing it with Oprah. Finally, Gen V canceled after 2 seasons, but the spinoff of The Boys, Vought Rising, is confirmed for a 2027 launch.
Wild. Did you ever give a try to I Fell Off of The Boys at some point?
Didn't.
There was some new season, and there was part of me that just at a gut level was like, let me guess, something gross. I'll bet there's something gross. something about what's miserable about in our world. Yep. I bet it's all in there. And I somehow never got around to it. It's a great show.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
I really enjoyed the show, and Eileen and I both enjoyed it. And we're watching a season. I don't remember which one. And it was one of those ones where we never actually made the decision. We just didn't go back and keep watching the next episode. And it's like in that row of, your next episode, it's like way far down on the right somewhere because it's just drifted off. I don't think we'll ever go back to it. And I never did watch Gen V. So I never went into the spinoffs.
Yeah.
All right, let's spin off into Buried Treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich. buried treasure.
This is the part of the show where Brian and I talk about something we've been watching that maybe you would like to watch as well. Brian, what you got?
You know what? Tom, as you know, I've been very, very busy with very interesting projects. But luckily, I thought, Brian, you don't watch anything. And it's like, you should watch things. And I thought, Brian, what say you just start something? What's a thing that you really, really want to get around to watching, but you just can't get over that hump? Why don't you start it? You don't have to finish it. So I watched the first 5 minutes, the intro, and it's great, of the Defunct Land 4.5 hour documentary called Broken Promises, all about, Disney's living characters, A Broken Promise. Don't know how it ends. I have no doubt it'll be long and plodding and hypnotic and have gorgeous visuals and somehow make me care about line queuing theory and all the other stuff. It's so great. Just start watching any of the popular Defunct Land videos, and there's a hypnotic spell that will come over you.
What is it? What is Disney's living characters, A Broken Promise, about? I can't tell from the title.
So first of all, brilliant storytelling. Kevin Perjurer begins with a first-person camera, cell phone camera shot of, at the end of this line is the result of 5 years of whatever, billions of dollars are on the line. If this fails, it will be consequence. And just as he's about to do, you get pulled away to Mickey. New story. Anyway, here's Abraham Lincoln robot. I could tell it's going to be kind of some shaggy dog. I don't know where it's headed, but it's about
so you don't know either.
Animatronic. Yes, correct. I haven't gotten that far, but it has something to do with all the animatronic characters.
Okay. That's the hook. I see. I've been watching One Piece, the live action remake on Netflix that everybody has been raving about. I have a friend who's into anime. And I asked him if he had been watching this, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, did you like it? He's like, better than the original. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, man, I wish that had happened before Cowboy Bebop, so that all the Cowboy Bebop naysayers could have been shushed. It's like One Piece was better.
I don't know if you have to have Cowboy Bebop fail for One Piece to succeed. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Netflix needed to learn what they objected to in Cowboy Bebop in order to make One Piece be successful. I can't tell what that is because I'm not familiar enough with the original. But I do think these are very long episodes.
How long are they?
They're like 1 hour and 40 minutes long. These are a series of movies, which makes sense, honestly, because One Piece is kind of put out in that way. But I love it. It is got one of the things that hooks me with TV shows is the atmosphere. How does it look? Do I like hanging out in this world? And it's very much got that. It's a piratey, circusy world. Lots of bright colors and weirdness. The charm of Luffy is that he believes without any doubt in what he is doing at any given moment. And you know that there's no way he should succeed, and yet he will believably succeed somehow. And they did a great job with casting and pacing and all of that. So I don't watch an entire episode at a time. I tend to break it off in 20-minute chunks, to be honest. I'll find a nice, stopping point, and then I'll pick it up later. So I'm only in episode 4, and it's taken me quite a bit of time to get there. But it's a great, I don't have anything else to watch. Let me dip back into the One Piece universe, and I'm enjoying that.
That's great. It sounds like it's a satisfying, meaty experience.
And also, but not meaty in the sense of weighty and you have to think about it. It's a very easy watch at the same time. So check that out. It is on Netflix. If you got something we should be on the lookout for, you can email us. I don't know if we mentioned our email address before, but it's cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian.
Yeah.
I have here in my hands.
What?
All of human knowledge.
Oh, hold on, Tom. In order to do that, you would need every piece of technology ever created. Humans are more than our bodies. Our minds have expanded in various gizmos, thinking machines, they call them.
Yes.
In order to be
so-
complete, you would have had to start with Abacus and go all the way to Z quantum computing, which is a real thing.
I have here in my hands the first volume of all of human knowledge.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, man, if you want to understand the current technological world, you got to understand what the pieces are underneath it. That's not just the history of it, but that's like, what is a GPU? What is a CPU? What the freak is this autonomous car, like level 3 stuff? All of those answers are in Synced, my book, SYNCED. Know a little more about technology. You can just page through it, read at your leisure, pop around from chapter to chapter, enjoy yourself. It's like a pasture of technology knowledge awaiting for you wherever fine books are sold. That is Synced. Know a little more about tech by me, Tom Merritt. Go buy it right now. Thank you. Shall we scan the horizon?
We shall.
Send a scanning crew aboard.
Scanning the horizon!
This is the most boring chapter of our Warner Brothers Discovery, Netflix, Paramount triumvirate coverage. But the shareholders at Warner approved Paramount's mega deal. However, to spice it up, they voted against exit pay packages for Zaslav and the other execs.
Got him.
Doesn't mean they won't get them. It just means they voted against them. It's an advisory vote. And what could spice it up a little bit more is we are still waiting for regulatory approval, not only by the U.S. Justice Department, but by European entities, some of which have said they are going to investigate whether this is an antitrust situation. And there is a Writers Guild petition that has more than 4,000 signatories objecting to Paramount getting Warner Brothers Discovery. That probably has less weight, but it does put people on record of like, I'm against this.
I have no idea. At some point, I thought hashtag justice for Netflix, and then I spent the rest of the next 30 seconds wondering, what would justice look like?
I think they got it, maybe.
I guess.
They avoided having to be saddled with Warner
With
Brothers
Hollywood,
Discovery.
they're like, oh, yeah, they really did. Netflix is the big winner of this deal, where they get to say, we offered to help, guys. I'm sorry.
At some point, Paramount, which historically, even before David Ellison owned them, was like, yeah, we make stuff for a lot of other people, not just for ourselves. They could be making some of that Warner intellectual property for Netflix. And then they're making money. Netflix is making money. Everybody wins. Comcast had their earnings report, and they say Peacock will approach profitability in Q2 thanks to a deal with the NBA, which amortized costs out evenly, so they won't be hitting as hard during Q2 when viewership rises because of the playoffs. So the cost of the NBA won't be as high as Q2. Sounds like an accounting trick, the way they're explaining it. Like, well, you see, the amount we paid for the NBA, we spread out over the months, but we get all these viewers who want to watch the playoffs, so they sign up in Q2. Anyway, Peacock also benefited from the Milan Winter Olympics. So Comcast is trying to tell us, don't worry, it's gonna pay for itself any day now.
Approaching profitability.
Approach it. It's right
It's
there.
a noble
It's right-
goal.
just- yeah. Yes. Jon Favreau had Disney build an app for the Apple Vision Pro so that he could watch shots for The Mandalorian and Grogu on a virtual IMAX-sized screen. He wanted to make sure they look good on IMAX. And he's like, well, I can't always just go to an IMAX. So build me an app. I'll put on the Apple Vision Pro. That'll give me an IMAX-sized screen. On the Town podcast, here's his quote. So I'm making an IMAX movie and I'm looking at a TV screen, and no matter how big your TV screen is, it's not an IMAX screen. We built software so that it can pop on my Apple Vision Pro and be sitting in an IMAX movie theater and see the full aspect ratio when we're lining a shot up, and I can watch that take and see what people will see. So he's implying from what he said to the Town that he was using this on the set.
Yeah. So this story, I went on a little bit of a roller coaster where I was like, yeah, no, it is fundamentally different to see a big screen. And it's not like you can just shove your face right up to a big screen and say, this is pretty much it. Like, it's different. The parallax is different, all of that stuff. So
Aspect
it's a good
ratio is
use.
different.
But then I realized, like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, but there's some part of this that I'm not impressed by. And then I realized it's like, Are we supposed to be amazed that an app was made? Can't you do that, Brian, today? Can't you do exactly what you just heard to your own channel in about 30 minutes, an hour? And I was like, yeah, I think I might be able to.
Yeah, I don't think the app being made is the impressive part of this either.
Yeah.
I think it's the fact that somebody found a good use for the Apple Vision
Well,
Pro.
okay, yes. And by the way, I've been dipping a toe. I got the Meta Quest 3 for Christmas. I've been dipping a toe back into VR, kind of falling back in love with it, man. It's pretty great with a high resolution experience. It's pretty good.
Maybe this time it'll work out between you two. I'm rooting for you.
I'm rooting for us too.
And finally, going back to the Paramount Warner thing, there was an interesting Bloomberg article about who is going to run streaming for Paramount Warner after they merge. Now, granted, we've got months, if not longer, before the merger is finalized. But once they do, you've got Casey Bloys, who's been doing a great job with HBO, has a lot of experience with this. And you got Cindy Holland, who kind of has an axe to grind with Netflix and left Netflix to go to Paramount, probably is very glad Netflix is not getting Paramount, and runs streaming for them right now, but doesn't have as many connections and as much experience as Casey Bloys, but is apparently well respected and considered to be very talented as well. Casey Bloys has it in his contract that after this merger, he will report directly to the CEO, not to anybody else. So they can't make a situation where Casey Bloys stays and doesn't report to the CEO, whatever they have him do.
Interesting. I don't know enough about the reputations of all these characters. to
Yeah,
really
it's a
have
little
take.
bit internal politics and all that stuff.
But I
get
like
that,
the
but
I like remembering that there's an artistry to that kind of thing. As a matter of fact, in
yeah,
the documentary Dark Tower 3: The Wasteland, Jake Chambers' dad is a master of the kill in television programming, and there's a brief riff in there where they talk about the art of teeing everything up. I don't know. That was a good reminder that that's a piece of the puzzle.
yeah, and it'll be something where you'll see a headline about Casey Bloys named, or Casey Bloys leaves, or something like that, or Cindy leaves, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I heard something about that on Cordkillers. So file that away in the back of your mind. All right, folks, let's move on to Le Chatter.
Yeah.
Got mail.
Tom and Brian, writes John, checking in to simply say, I've upped my Patreon, so up yours. I think I've been listening to you both since day one, but didn't become a patron for a while. But I want to keep supporting independent broadcasters like yourselves. Keep up the great work. Your caring boss, John.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I appreciate you letting us know. That's always good to have somebody like John, who's been writing into the show for a long time, go like, you know what? Yeah, let me support you guys. Appreciate that. Steven Schleicher of Major Spoilers wrote in and said, hey, one thing you didn't bring up on Cordkillers 596 was that podcasts on Netflix and YouTube, etc., are running dangerously close to violating union regulations. I wrote about this a couple of months ago, and he's got a great thing on his Major Spoilers Substack about how, yeah, if you're a small-time operator like me and Brian, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're Netflix and you do have dealings with SAG-AFTRA and other unions, and you bring in a podcast, you might have to change how you pay people, and whether you define it as a podcast doesn't necessarily change some of the union rules. It's tricky. It's a complicated thing that some of these companies are going to have to deal with, and maybe they're just writing a check. I don't know, but it's an interesting point that Stephen brought up.
Oh, I think it's brilliant, and I think that again, that's a structural nudge that happens when you invent a new category of a thing. Then that means you invent a new set of norms and rules for that thing.
Yeah. And podcast culture is very not anti-union, but non-union, right? Because we often, like Brian and I, are doing it for ourselves. So it's just not something we think about. As soon as you get it into a big studio situation like Netflix or Amazon, now you're in a different kind of situation.
Well, and it makes me wonder how much of, like, literally, maybe somebody who's never watched a podcast They're like, what is it? Is it just a TV show where they talk? So it's a talk show. And they're like, no, it is a legally distinct type of show. and then somebody's like, podcasting is the new thing. I just saw one for the first time yesterday, but I know the bottom line says we have to have a lot of them.
Tom Selleck shaved his mustache when he played Eisenhower on the D-Day movie. A friend of mine met him in real life and said he is just as charming in person. Bye-bye, John.
Doggone it, man.
I just loved the succinctness of this email. This was in response to us on The Full Experience talking about how charming Tom Selleck was as Magnum on Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Dave in Waco writes, "Hi, guys. David Waco here. I haven't heard you mention one of the reasons Tom Selleck got the job of Magnum. In the Rockford Files last 2 seasons, Jim Rockford had to work 2 cases with a nearly perfect, incredibly lucky, and handsome private investigator named Lance White, played by Tom Selleck. The 2 episodes are Season 5, Episode 4, White on White and Nearly Perfect, and Season 6, Episode 5, Nice Guys Finished Dead. I'm a couple decades older than y'all and watched every episode of Rockford back then and remember thinking that I would really like to see more of Lance White, and was amazed and delighted to see Tom Selleck show up as Thomas Sullivan Magnum after Jim Rockford's run as my favorite TV PI was over. By the way, Rockford Files is available to watch on Prime Video for free. Thanks for watching Magnum and Murder, She Wrote as a set for the full experience."
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, I may take a peek into that. I love seeing proto versions of things before they were things.
Yeah. No, it's a pretty good spinoff. Dan Campos, our friend Dan, down in Mexico City, said, "Hi there, Cordkillers crew. It was fun checking your report on CinemaCon, and I wanted to add just a couple of notes. If only you had a direct source from the event. Wait, you do! I was there. When Marvel announced Infinity Vision, the general perception was skepticism. Please note that I was not in the press booth, but with the general audience, so the feeling was different comparing the press fans versus the exhibitors. Since Warner secured a 3-week exclusive IMAX window for Dune 3, and Disney didn't want to move their release date for Doomsday, they're essentially trying to market a different high-quality experience for the screens they'll have available. It's not IMAX, but it's what they could come up with, a new name, and no real substance to it. I believe that in the long run, a new Avengers film will make more money than the end of Dune, but those 3 weeks can definitely make a dent in the initial box office numbers due to the IMAX exclusivity, especially if we consider that Jumanji 3 is coming 1 week later, so the competition will be tough. Besides that, even if the Warner and Dune presentation didn't make as much noise in the media as the Doomsday trailer inside the room, Dune was much more appreciated. D-Day in space with incredible action you've never seen in the Dune saga versus something that feels like just another Avengers trailer where we already know the tune. There's no competition, especially since during the presentation, we were surrounded by Fremen warriors who took the stage, and even a couple of them flew above us in the Dolby Coliseum. I can say that the main reason why the Disney presentation made more noise is that there were a lot of newcomers who only came to cover that presentation, and Disney's PR allowed live tweeting and posting images from it, something that was restricted in most of the other studio presentations. So fans took the cue from Disney and shared their excitement. Keep up the great work, sharing my video reports from CinemaCon as well as the text articles covering the same ground. This message was not paid for by Zaslav nor Ellison."
Yeah. That whole idea of the exclusivity window, all politics is local. And I'm lucky enough to literally have a movie theater across the street, and it does have an IMAX theater. Normally, I don't really pay attention to whether something is IMAX or not. But boy, oh boy, did I notice the difference when in the same week I watched Project Hail Mary twice. And the idea of Doomsday coming out and me not being able to see it at my local theater in IMAX, like I'll be driving downtown for that, man. I'll go wherever the highest quality production is.
Yeah, Disney had to come up with something or move the date. And they didn't want to move the date because they want that sweet holiday time. So that is fascinating. A few other people wrote in along the same line saying, the reason they came up with this new way of presenting movies is because they got locked out of IMAX for Avengers Doomsday. Big thanks to Bob, who sent in something that he even said in his email, like this isn't necessarily for you to read on the show, but was a description of how he uses index cards to mark down what he watches and how often, and actually calculates which ones are the most valuable to him. Turns out Apple TV is the best value. He watches the most stuff for the least amount of money on Apple TV, and Peacock is the worst. He currently only watches 2 shows on that service. The other in order of dollar value are HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Netflix, and Disney. So thank you, Bob, for sharing that. That's really cool.
Brilliant.
Also, Jason, thank you for letting us know something we were not aware of when we were talking about Evil Dead Burn last week. I was not aware that Bruce Campbell is fighting an incurable form of cancer. It's treatable, but incurable, and that is probably why you do not see him in Evil Dead Burn.
Yeah. He did publicly tweet to get ahead of the news, so you can find that tweet.
Thank you for the tweet. Thank you, Jason. And thank you, everyone, for supporting us. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. And we are live at twitch.tv/nightattack and youtube.com/modernrogue Tuesdays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Tom, we could just barrel straight on in if you want.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Let's do it.
Cool.
Welcome to The Full Experience. This is a show that watches 4 episodes of a TV series to see if we can get the flavor of the entire run. We watch the first, ultimate, lowest, and last, and we are watching the lowest rated, as determined by the fan ratings on IMDb, of Magnum P.I., Season 1, Episode 8, The Ugliest Dog in Hawaii, which first aired January 29th, 1981. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Tom, I have questions. So many
Do you?
questions about this
Let's have
episode.
them.
Not the least of which is actually one question that we might be able to find out with the robot is where and when do IMDb ratings come from? And if that's the case, is it possible that the reason this is the lowest rated episode is quite simply because, strangely, they have what looks like a previously on, but is the entire content of the episode at the beginning of it? Then they play not the iconic opening to Magnum P.I., but the soundtrack to that shows up twice, once in a distorted way, once in another way, all of which is to say, if this is the lowest rated, not in the present tense when it came out, but instead in the archives, I can't help but wonder how much of that is quite simply because artistically they chose to not use the canonical official opening that they did, which they did for both parts and 1 and 2 of the first episode, which has, I don't know, like I wonder. Also, Tom, this is a terrible episode. I had a very bad time on the first half of it because I was comparing it to the delightful and amazing last episode, most recent episode that we saw. But then the second half of it, Bonnie came in. And Bonnie has no associations outside of vaguely remembering the show and loving it. She cackled at every cartoony, awful, old-timey thing that was happening. Every bad acting was a delight to her. And I ended up liking the second half quite a bit because my expectations got rewired.
Well, but yeah, you had an entertainment engine next to you for the second half. So I'm actually confused. It sounded when you started like you didn't believe this could possibly be the lowest rated episode of Magnum P.I.
No.
And then it sounded like you very much believed it was the lowest rated episode. And then it sounded like maybe you less believed it. So I'm not sure where you stand on it.
All 3 of them can be true, Tom. It is true that I totally believe that concurrently when this came out, this is a very bad episode. And if it is the lowest rated, it is an earned reputation. Separate
Then
from
why
that,
were you casting about for other reasons why the rating would be low? That's the
because
part that
the
confuses.
number of it was very distracting. There's no way to enjoy this episode archivally, and probably for the past 20 years, there has been no way to enjoy this episode by priming
You
it
can
with
skip.
that weird beginning. I mean, if
Most
somebody
people
tells
skip
you
that stuff
to,
anyway.
again, it's
It
like
does. The little skip button comes up, and like 90% of people skip.
Okay. Well, that's,
I don't know if it's
that's
90%,
That's
but-
a lot of heavy lifting that I have to know what other people are doing or whatever. My point is if
I'm just saying, which is easier to explain this getting a low rating? The idea that most people watched a digital version and didn't skip the trailer, or it's bad.
well, okay, let me put it algebraically.
Okay.
There's how bad this episode is. It is a worse experience by the fact that, bizarrely, because of the soundtrack, there is no version. They put the original opening, which is bad. So negative even more on that. And then there's even more negative on that because they bizarrely have an artifact that makes the whole thing boring because it spells out all the beats that are coming up. So objectively, the archival experience is mathematically poorer than however it was when it come out. What I am asking is how much of its low rating is a result of the archival presentation being poor. Like, for example, take a bad movie. Take The Burbs with what's the name? Tom Hanks, right? In the movie theater, if that movie was in the dollar circuit, it would be a poor, degraded, screen scratched, cigarette burned copy of it. So there's some amount of bad that movie is, and then there's more badness because of the presentation. That is the filter I'm asking. How much of this worst rating is attributable to poor presentation?
I can only give you my own perspective, of course. I don't know what most people think. But I don't think most people are as bothered by it as you are. I really do. My instinct is that most people just skip or don't even pay attention to that opening. I was confused because I thought it was a previously on.
I did
I was
too.
like, oh, did we miss that first half? So it's weird. And I really don't think that many people are bothered
Wait a
by
minute, wait,
the opening being the original music.
Hold on. You think you and I are outliers for, number one, we're the weird ones who would bother to watch a previously on? No, I think everybody would
Yes.
watch a previously on. And are we the outliers because we were confused by it? No, I think everybody was confused by it. Like, I'm trying to reconcile
I think
for me
most
how
people
we're-
don't think that much about it. I think you and I are outliers in that we are watching this
I
very
disagree.
closely because
I think that
yeah.
I think
no,
that
we do.
anybody
We
watch-
definitely disagree. The one thing we agree on is that we disagree about this.
Well, no, and that it's a bad episode. I assume, unless you're about to tell
I
me
think,
it's a great
and that's
episode.
why I'm like, honestly, why spend that much time, you and I, discussing that part of it? Because it's not like if none of that were true, if there was no weird opening, if the opening music was not distracting to you, you still would have been like, yeah, that's the worst episode of Magnum PI, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely believe it. A lot of threads that.
By
went
the way,
nowhere-
IMDb ratings can be done by anybody with an account, but they also include industry professionals, and they weight it more towards the open viewer stuff, but they include professional review ratings in this. So it's not entirely made up of people just coming to IMDb and ranking it. There's a bit of a mix between that. So
right. Well, and
I think
also,
I don't know that changes anything we're saying, but I looked it up, so I figured I'd pass it along.
yeah, and also this is a separate thread. This is part of the reason we do the full experience is we like to decode why was this the lowest rated, and sometimes the answer is because
let's
it's a
get
clip
past
show.
the trailer part. I actually liked the fact that it was the original music. That was a positive for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, good. We're not pretending like that didn't happen. This is period appropriate. This is the way people experienced it. So even though, yes, I don't disagree that the new music is better and all that, that was a positive for me to be like, oh, good. I'm actually watching it the way other people would have watched it. But then from then on, it's just silly. It's just a very, very silly episode. And I kind of wish that I had been able to hang out with you in body and watch it, because I think I would have gotten more enjoyment. I did start to just laugh at how silly, especially Victor is, Michael Vigazzo's like crazy over the top Italian uncle character. I think that's probably the majority of what people roll their eyes about, is that thread of that, which is, a big chunk. That's like a third of the plot.
Yes. Yes. Also, did you stick around for the end credits? Did you see? I guess they probably always have done outtakes in there, but I hadn't noticed before.
I had never known. I'd never. We haven't seen it in the others we've watched, because I always let it roll.
Yeah, lots of Magnum and Higgins chumming it up. Lots of making each other laugh.
I was like, oh, there's outtakes, but then there would be a scene that was like no visible like mess up or anything, and I was like, okay, they're not all funny outtakes if they are outtakes. So yeah.
And also, I would imagine that this is all cut together before it's a bona fide known hit. And so it's like, whatever.
Because we're at the 8th episode in.
Of the pilot season.
Right.
It's like, have Teddy do it. Just whatever you want, Teddy.
But no kidding. I did like that they gave us a listen of the original music. I also liked the dog, because the dog at one point was just like pulling away, like, no, I don't want to go where you're going. It was played by Leo the dog, who was 12 years old at the time, a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, aka Pit Bull, and Smooth Fox Terrier mix, who had also appeared in episodes of MASH and Kung Fu, and became a regular cast member of Tales of the Gold Monkey as Jack the Dog, another Donald Belisario show.
That's amazing.
The dog lived to age 21.
What? Go buy that dog a beer. And then put it to
seriously.
sleep.
Oh, good night. Little Leo the dog. That was probably my favorite part of this entire thing. I was like, I'm charmed by this because it's got dogs. Like I can't really hate on it because it's got a dog. It's a dog story. I also like that they actually made him reload his gun. I was like, oh, a little nod to reality there. That was interesting. Yeah.
Also, this is
the
back
pool man thing with Rick.
Yeah.
It was just that was peak ridiculousness. Like that didn't make any sense that would be the plan or that it would work. But.
Normally, I love peeking at the fringes of production, but in this case, everything was sloppy enough that it wasn't fun. It's like, come on, can you make it hard?
Also, we had to finish with a lot of exposition that didn't really explain why Mrs. Marston had the dog.
Yeah. It's like, oh, anyway, it was a Swiss bank account. Does that work? Yeah. 2 sentences to explain what that is. And he gave it to the girl.
There was a number on the dog, and I said, keep the dog, but she was mad at me, so she gave the dog away. And a really rich lady picked up a mutt for some reason. Well, I don't know. She did, though. So there you go.
Yeah. Also, it's like, anyway, the Ferrari went missing. Fairly significant detail. It's like, but really, we're just doing that so we can, have a plot point.
So we can drive this into the bush.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
actually, liked the pot grower shtick. That was pretty good.
That was all right.
The two guys. Yeah, that wasn't
and also,
bad.
like Magnum, it's in character. They push back on it too hard with the foil, but I liked him speaking secret languages, hidden languages on the inside, and being able to diffuse the situation.
Also, on paper, an animal control person who's afraid of animals is funny, but I don't think that played at all.
No,
because it was so inconsistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have to say, this was the first episode to feature the new Magnum PI theme music, which you did hear during the show and in the closing credits. They had not used it yet over the opening credits and wouldn't use it over the opening credits until episode number 12. But I don't know why. I couldn't find an explanation of why they just didn't start using it at the beginning. But that's why if you're like, wait a minute, I swear I heard the new theme in there, you're not wrong. They did use it.
Yeah, you hear it 3 times, Tom. Isn't that crazy? So actually, that goes to our outtake theory that it's like I would imagine that the pilot comes out and they don't really know what they're going to do on the back half. Everything's shot, but they have post-production and editing. And then along that, it's like, no, this is a hit. And also this theme is garbage. Get a new theme. Oh my God, we got a new theme. Well, we got to use this, and use it. They did 3 times. First of all, to tee it up right before he gets high as a kite and passes out, and they do a distortion like on it. Then they come back and play it again in an action chase scene, and then they play it during the credits. And Tom, the end credits are a lot longer than the opening credits, so they kept re-looping the do 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 do.
It made me think, and I couldn't find any validation of this theory, but it made me think that they had a contract requiring them to use the original credit music through the first 12 episodes, and possibly a contract with Mike Post to use it starting with this episode. And they had to figure that out somehow. So they said, let's do an extended end credits so we can play it at the end.
I'll tell you what, man, everything about this screams a 22-minute documentary that I would like to watch. I want the real story behind the worst episode. Maybe we can make that
the worst
Tom.
episode.
We can interview everyone.
I don't disagree that this is a horrible episode and it's silly, but I kind of enjoyed it.
If you can watch it in Bonnie Heckle vision, I highly recommend the experience.
I want in a cartoony kind of way. Certainly didn't need my full attention on it. That's for sure. And I think probably I would have hated it more in 1981 when Victor's character was less of a throwback stereotype than I do now, where it's like, oh yeah, though that character is entirely a parody of a character. And so it didn't really needle me so much, if that makes sense.
Well, and what's funny is his nephew and the young criminals, they were yet to become a parody of the nerdy villain archetype from the 80s. They were pioneers in 1980 of that.
Yale.
Yeah.
They went to Yale. Not. All right. So that is The Ugliest Dog in Hawaii, fulfilling its expectation as the lowest rated episode of Magnum PI. We are going to the final episode, the last L in full, with season 8, episode 13, jumping all the way to 1988 for Resolutions. A nice name for a finale episode. Season 8, episode 13, Resolutions. That will be what we discuss next time on The Full Experience. And if you haven't heard, we will not be jumping directly into another show. We're going to do a couple of very special episodes of The Full Experience, bridge episodes between Magnum PI and our next watched Murder, She Wrote. So stay tuned for more details on that next time. But for next time, season 8, episode 13 of Magnum PI, Resolutions. You get these episodes earlier. If you are a patron, go become one and help us choose whatever the stuff it is that we're going to watch. You get After Talk, where you hear us discuss all that kind of stuff. All of that available by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Cordkillers. Talk to you next time.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, live